Oh boy, that is. Welcome, everybody. I'm Dr. Krystosik, and for some reason, I'm not sure, but why we are getting a distortion on the camera here today. Sorry about that. I will just try, give me a minute, and I will try to go out of this seminar and come right back in. So let me try that. And give me a minute. I'll get this setting here right, and we will get things in the right direction here. Let's go there. I will go that way, and I'll come back. Okay, that's a little bit better. All right. Apologize. I don't know what is going on here with the camera. Normally, this is a good setup, but for some reason, we're getting distortion here today. Not sure why, but welcome to the other side of medicine. This is a webinar we're going to be doing here for the next 2 hours. Glad that you joined us, and I would love to introduce myself for those of you who don't know me. My name is Dr. Krystosik, and people call me also Dr. Good Carbs because years ago when I was on a television program, the host of the program dubbed me Dr. Good Carbs because I had wrote a book called Carbs from Heaven and Carbs from Hell. And that's how I got the name. And that has a lot of significance because when I wrote that book back in 2004, that was when the Atkins rage was at its peak. The low carb diet was at its peak at that time. And that's when my book was published. And I wrote that book in response to the low carb diet. Well, today, the low carb diet has been transformed into many different types of low carb diets. And people are still being, in my estimation, duped, given misinformation, because in the short term, people will get benefit with a low carb diet. No question about that. There's lots of good evidence for that. However, all the research clearly indicates that for long-term health, you're toying with danger if you decide to get into the low-carb diet. And I just found out why I'm having a problem. Okay, I just figured it out here. Just give me. Okay, there we go. Much better. There we go. Now we have all systems are go. So as I would like to start all over again, because I would like to have this presentation seen clear, I'm going to record it and I'd love to have it done properly. So welcome once again. I'm Dr. Krystosik, and I am known as also Dr. Good Carbs. Love that you're spending some time with me today. We have a great webinar in store for you here today, and I just really want you to sit back, relax, and be able to take in all the information I'll be sharing with you. We will try to get some interactive questions in during this time today, but I'm not going to promise it 100% because I've got so much information to pack in a 2-hour presentation. So, how did I get the name Good Carbs, Dr. Good Carbs? Well, back around 2004, when my book Carbs from Heaven and Carbs from Hell was published, I was on a television program, and the host of the program on NBC said that you are telling us that carbs are good, and we're getting all this information from Dr. Atkins and the South Beach diet at the time, that carbs are bad for you. And so I'm going to dub you Dr. Good Carbs. So I carry that name ever since that time. Now, it's really interesting. That was back in 2004. And I wrote that book in response to the Atkins craze. And now we are in 2022, and the low carb diet has still not disappeared. It's still on the scene, very much so. People are getting swayed by it because they're getting short term results. Now, we all know that Americans like quick results. Americans like to get things done now. They want to have the results right now. They don't want to wait for things. And so this diet is very attractive because you can lose weight. You'll see blood sugar levels go down, cholesterol levels sometimes will go down, but not in everybody. You'll get these short-term benefits. However, in the beginning, people have some negative responses very often, and they end up having problems with fatigue and digestive disturbances, and they have brain fog, and they'll have even some digestive disturbances, and it goes on and on, other types of symptoms that they'll get for the first couple of weeks. Well, somehow then the body adapts. It always does. It tries to adapt to what's going on in your life. But that short-term benefit that people get that I talked about a little bit earlier, over the years, it can then become a detriment because we know with all the research, and there's mounds of research to clearly demonstrate that people who stay on a high fat diet, now I'm talking about saturated fat, those individuals who are eating that type of diet in consuming it in large quantities will have consequences, heart attacks, strokes, a lot of inflammatory diseases that are so dominant here in the United States and around the world. And so we're going to dive into some of those problems that people have as they acquire these type of low carb diets and eat a lot of animal protein, especially the saturated fat from animal protein. We'll talk about the consequences of that. But there are people now, authors who were on low carb diets, influencers, people who were well known and now are coming out against it. And I was reading one story of a gentleman who had a heart attack. He was only in his 40s, and he was on a low carb diet for about 7 or 8 years. And he's now written a book on eating the Mediterranean diet, which I am a strong proponent of that particular diet. And we'll get into that as well today, too. So today we're going to be diving into several different topics that I think are going to be very important for you to be able to move into 2023 and be able to achieve your health goals. You know, this is the time of the year that most people start thinking about going on a diet, making some lifestyle changes. The New Year's resolutions, we all get excited about that. Problem is, the research clearly indicates that after the first 30 days, 90 to 95% of people will fall off the wagon and go back to their old patterns. And there's a lot of reasons for that. One of the reasons is because when you're trying to change a lifestyle habit, we know through research that it takes about 90 days to change a habit. And so it's important that you learn a way to stick with your new habit that's going to be beneficial for at least 90 days so that you can break that cycle and that pattern. And I'm going to talk about some of the reasons why that is. I wrote a book called Change Your Mind and Transform Your Body. We'll take a little sip of herb tea here. And that little booklet, I'm going to get that book and show it to you. This is that little book, Change Your Mind, Transform Your Body. Now, I wrote this book because a lot of people are having problems with trying to change habits. And they would find that initially their willpower would take them and move them into the direction to change their habit. Doesn't matter what kind of habit it is. If they felt uncomfortable with that habit and they knew that it was destructive to their life, and they wanted to add some new beneficial habit into their life, they would find that initially that willpower would drive them and help them be capable of sticking to that new habit for maybe a week or two or three or four, depending on how strong your willpower is. But then what would happen is, let's give you an example. They would, for example, if you wanted to say, I'm going to go to the gym this year and I'm going to start working out every single week and I'm going to change my diet, I'm going to eat healthy foods. And so the person who with the willpower would drive them to go to the gym on a regular basis. And maybe for the first week or 2 or 3 weeks, they'd be fine. And then maybe after the third week or fourth week, whatever the strength of that particular willpower that person had, they would be going on their way to the gym and they'd stop maybe at a 7-Eleven store to pick up a bottle of water to take to the gym with them. And they'd walk into the 7-Eleven store, and as they're going to the cooler to get the bottle of water, something would drag them into the aisle of the candy or the chips. Something would pull them in, or like the hook that people use when they try to take somebody off of a stage when they're performing, and that big long hook. It would be like somebody pulled them with a long hook into that chip aisle. Well, what in the world was it that pulled them into that chip aisle or that candy aisle? Well, in my book, Change Your Mind, Transform Your Body, I explain that very clearly for you to help you understand that it really comes down to your poor self-image. And I think that's a really important point for us when you're looking at changing your habits for 2023. When you have this poor self-image, and by the way, you may have a healthy self-image in many areas of your life. You may be very successful person in a lot of areas. Maybe you're financially successful. Maybe you're successful in your career. A lot of other things you may be successful in. But there may be a couple areas in your life, and we all have them, that you are weak in, and you have a poor self-image that was generated maybe at your youth. And let's say that you are overweight, which not hard to find that. We have 65% of Americans who are overweight today. And let's say you're overweight or you're obese. And I don't want to fault you for that, because in a lot of respects, it's not your fault. Let me explain that, because with this poor self-image, and you may have a poor self-image in that particular area of your life. And so where did that come from? Well, if you go back to early childhood, maybe you grew up in a family that wasn't eating the healthiest foods, and they already had a predisposition to being overweight in that family. Maybe genetically they had a predisposition to being overweight in that family. And so a lot of people want to blame it on their genetic composition. Well, just hold on a minute, because I'm going to share with you that that's not true either. But in any event, you may have grown up with eating a lot of junk food in your family, or not eating the healthiest foods, a lot of refined foods, a lot of refined and processed foods, a lot of starchy foods, and you maybe eat very few vegetables and fruits. Well, you ended up eating a lot of junk food as well, and you gained the weight because you already had a weakness in your genetic composition, and you developed this extra weight on your body, and you were being made fun of, maybe at school and you're with your peers, and everybody maybe just on a regular basis laughed at you because you were overweight and you felt really very poor self-image that you had, and you had a message in your mind from the people in your life, could have been even family members, well, you're never going to lose the weight, you're always going to be heavy, you're never going to be able to be thin like this person or that person. And these recorded messages play over and over in your mind, and you carry those messages in your subconscious mind throughout your whole life. And so, going back to the chip aisle that we're in, and going back to the traveling to the gym, and when you went into the 7-Eleven store and you were really doing well for a couple of weeks, but then you walked into that 7-Eleven store to get that bottle of water and you were dragged into the chip aisle or to the candy aisle. And that, my friend, is where the message, that subconscious message was, you're never going to be thin. You're a loser. That's recorded message in your subconscious mind. It overpowered you, and it just took over your mind at that moment, even though your willpower was there to try to just go get the bottle of water. Your subconscious message that's recorded in your brain, in your subconscious, said, you're not going to do this. You're going to fail. And so it pulls you into the chip aisle, and you succumb to it. And you believed that message, even though you had that desire to change. Well, in my book, in this book, a little book, it's a pocket book, I give people the ability, the formula to be able to overshadow the poor self-image that you have of your body, thinking that you're never going to be able to lose the weight and you're never going to be able to achieve the body that you want. And you're always going to sabotage it. It's kind of autopilot. If an airplane has an autopilot function on it, and so the autopilot of a plane's going from Cleveland to New York, the pilot can set it on autopilot and it will just go directly there. And the pilot will just sit there and watch the plane be directed right to New York from Cleveland. That's an autopilot. Now, what happens is, on the flight, during the flight, there could be a storm, and that was what we call turbulence. The turbulence could take the plane autopilot off its course for a short while, and then it'll pull back in, and it'll continue on to this destination. Well, that's what happens to you when you are trying to change a habit. You have this subconscious mindset that tells you you're going to be a failure in whatever area of your life that is. And you try on your path in your life, on your journey, to change a habit. And your body and your mind and your subconscious mind are on autopilot. That's how you're operating. You're on autopilot. You're living your life that way. All the recorded messages that are inside of you are playing on a regular basis. That's autopilot. The turbulence is when you decide you are going to change your habit and you veer off. You do something different from what your mindset, your subconscious mindset specifically, is telling you that you are going to be doing in your life. The turbulence is the new habit. The willpower is able to get you out of the autopilot and try to get you into a new direction. But because the autopilot is so strong, it pulls you back in. And that's how you ended up in the chip aisle, the candy aisle. because your mindset is on autopilot. You're a loser. You're never going to be able to achieve the goal. You're always going to be overweight, or whatever habit you're trying to change, whatever thing that you believe that you need to make a difference in your life, a habit you want to change, it's not going to change because it's autopilot. What you have to do is you have to overshadow that old self-image. And I give you lots of techniques in my book. And by the way, anybody who liked a copy of this book, I'll be happy just to send it to you absolutely free. It's a little pocketbook, but it's just a wealth of information. It's a workbook that you carry along with you wherever you go. It's a powerful tool, my friends. And I will be happy to give you that as just a gift. I'm still in the Christmas season here, so I told you I'm going to give you gifts. That's one of them. That book is powerful. I've got lots of little tips and tricks to do that you can use inside this book. I've got a declaration in this book, a declaration of independence. And in that book, it says, I publicly declare that I am free and independent, and I absolve myself from the beliefs of persons or events that are not representative of my wellness goals in my life. And I, put your name in, want to support this declaration, and I pledge my life, my health, my happiness, and my sacred honor on this pledge. And then you sign it and you have a witness. See, this is a little tool. It's just a tool. And then I've got little other bonuses that you could have inside here that we'll talk a little bit about here today. And one of the things I want to talk about right now here is the big why. The big why. I want to talk about that. What I mean by the big why is this. What is the reason that you want to be healthy in 2023? What is the reason that you want to lose weight in 2023? What is the reason why you want to be able to get rid of the symptoms that you have? Maybe you have irritable bowel syndrome, or you have some other gut issues. Maybe you've got ulcerative colitis or Crohn's disease, or maybe you've got some other autoimmune disorder. You know, when I was in school, and I graduated back in 1986, in my education, as we learned from the medical research back in the 80s, early 80s, autoimmune disease were rare. That's what I learned in school. And yet today, autoimmune diseases are at epidemic levels. We all know somebody who has an autoimmune disease. We're talking about things like lupus and ankylosing spondylitis and Crohn's disease and other inflammatory bowel diseases and Hashimoto's thyroid disease. A lot of these MS, all these autoimmune diseases are at epidemic levels today. My friends, there's reasons for that. We'll talk about that today and how to overcome those. But my point I'm trying to make right now at this juncture is to help you understand you have to have a big reason why you want to get rid of the bad habits. You want to get rid of the chronic symptoms. Maybe you don't have a disease. Maybe you're what I call the walking wounded. There are millions of Americans who are what I call the walking wounded. You don't have a disease, and yet you have bloating and gas and irritable bowel, and you've got headaches and joint pains. You've got fatigue, and you've got brain fog. And the list of symptoms could go on and on. And you go to your doctor and you tell your doctor about all these symptoms, and the doctor runs diagnostic tests, and all the tests are done. You go back into your doctor's office and they sit down with you and they say, Mrs. Jones or Mr. Jones, all your tests are normal. There's absolutely nothing wrong with any of the tests that we found. You're getting older. You're just going to have to live with these symptoms. That, my friend, is a myth. And these are the people who have fallen to the category of the walking wounded. And so you just believe that and you continue to live your life and you take over the counter medications, or maybe the doctor give you some kind of prescription medication for your symptoms. You walk around with these symptoms until eventually it becomes a chronic disease. And then they put a label on it. And then they treat you with a cookbook method of giving you medications or a surgical procedure for that particular diagnosis. So it's diagnose and adios. Diagnose, prescribe, and adios. The prescription medications aren't going to get to the cause of the problem, my friend. They're not going to cure the chronic disease. You'll end up going to your grave if you don't do something about it. Today, we're going to talk about what you can do about it. So you're back in that chip aisle, you're back in that candy aisle, and you're in a quandary. You're scratching your head and saying, why in the world am I standing in this chip aisle or this candy aisle when I was really doing well? I was doing well for 3 weeks or 4 weeks or 2 weeks, whatever it is. My friends, it's your poor self-image. You have to find a way to overshadow that so that you can have victory in your life. And my book, Change Your Mind, Transform Your Body, will give you the tools. It's part of the process of helping you to be able to achieve the goals that you want for 2023. So let's get into my slide presentation here for this evening. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Let's go right here and share my screen. There we go. Okay. So let's go ahead and do okay, so let's just talk a little bit about, let's go back here. So whether you're young or whether you're old, today you're going to learn how to grow younger, live longer in 2023. How would you like to be able to do that? Would that excite you? I know that for me, I want to get better in my life, in my health. So it excites me even because as I learn and I grow every single day, and by the way, I spend hours each week, 10, 15, 20 hours scouring the research studies to find health information that's breakthrough health information. And I share this kind of information with my listening audience on my podcast. Now, many of you have heard me on the radio in the past, and for 25 plus years, I was on the radio sharing this breakthrough, leading edge information with my listening audience and with my patients. Now I'm moved into the podcast world, and I'm doing the same thing. Back in the day, back when I was on the radio, back in the late 80s, early 90s, I was talking about the microbiome and gut bacteria, beneficial gut bacteria, and probiotics and prebiotics and postbiotics. And I was talking about intermittent fasting and about herbal medicines and food is your medicine. And I was talking about stress management skills and giving people research that was breaking research that was coming out at the time. And I remember I used to have doctors call me up, and I used to have a lot of people challenge me and say, this information that you're sharing is a bunch of malarkey. It's foolish nonsense. It's malarkey. It's nowhere to be found in the research. And I told them, my friends, you haven't studied your own medical research, because the research was already starting to surface back in the late 80s and the 90s about all these things. And my philosophy was back then, as it still is today, if something is not going to do any harm, then why not incorporate it into the life of any individual, whether it's a patient of mine, a listening audience person, or anybody, why not let them incorporate it? If there's some research show, it's early research, yes, but if it's not going to cause any harm, if there's some positive research, why not incorporate it? It's not going to cause any harm. And lo and behold, most of the things that I found in early research was years later became mainstream. And now it's part and parcel of mainstream accepted medical science. And so what I still do to this day is I bring this information in the forefront to my listening audience, to my patients, because I believe if it's not going to do any harm, why not incorporate it? So today we're going to be talking about several areas. We're going to be talking about permanent weight loss strategies. I know this is the time of year that so many people get into their different diets. I call it, this is hunting season right now. This is diet hunting season, and Americans are prowling around looking for that prize diet, that trophy diet, so they can lose the weight, peel it off, and be able to get that quick fix. And then what happens is people go on the diet, they don't work because research shows that people that go on diets, they'll end up, when they come off the diet, and inevitably they will, they put 5% more weight on than they had before the diet. It's a never-ending battle. It's a losing proposition. My friends, you don't have to let this kind of mindset rule your life. You can break out of it this 2023. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, because diets, as I said, don't work. We're going to teach you how to have a healthy lifestyle. That's what we're going to be talking about here, a healthy lifestyle. When you incorporate a healthy lifestyle, then your body begins to respond by taking the weight off. So your goal should be a healthy lifestyle. That should be number one in the forefront of your mind for 2023. How do I develop a healthy lifestyle? Because there's no one thing that's going to help you to lose the weight permanently. It's a lifestyle change in your whole life. The way you think, the way you move, what you eat, who you associate with, the friends that you have. It's everything in your life that's going to make the difference for 2023. And that's what I want for you. I want you to be able to achieve your health goals, which, of course, one of those is going to be, I'm sure, for many, to lose weight. But don't think that weight loss is always the most important thing. Some people need to put weight on, and we'll talk about how, when you incorporate a healthy lifestyle, when you get to the cause of your illness, by diving into the root causes, going downstream to get to the problem. You know, many people are just treating symptoms. We want to get to the cause. That's what we're talking about. Now, we're also going to be talking about the miracle morning routine. What is that? Well, it's a very simple daily procedure that you are able to incorporate into your life that can make a huge difference. And there's lots of different books on it. You can pick up some books. As a matter of fact, there is a book that's called The Miracle Morning. And I would highly recommend picking up a book on it, or just go onto the internet and look up a morning routine. But you need to have that. We're going to dive into that as well. We're going to talk about how food is information. Food is information. We're going to get into that, and how the food in your plate talks to your DNA, talks to your heart, talks to your liver, talks to the cells of your body. We're going to discuss that. And then we're going to talk about how you can exercise your way to happiness. A lot of times people think of exercise and they say, oh my God, that's work. We're going to talk about how you can exercise and enjoy it and be able to look forward to going to exercise. That's what I want you to do. And then we're going to get into some stress management skills. Very important because we are all bombarded, especially today, with so much stress in our environment. Ever since COVID has become really amplified and people are living in fear, they're stressed out at their work, even at home. And so we're going to talk about how to manage the stress and be able to glide through it and be peaceful and easeful. That's what I want to talk about today. And we're going to talk about some drug-free home remedies that you can use that work fast. Would you like that? I want to share some of those with you too, because especially during the season of flus and colds right now, which a lot of people are experiencing, I'm going to give you some bulletproof remedies that will get you back on the road to good health quickly. So you don't have to suffer with a flu or some other kind of illness for a week or 2 or 3 weeks. Many people do that. I see that so routinely, and it's so sad. But I'm going to help you to be smarter, to be able to overcome these illnesses, these common illnesses quickly with some very simple measures. And then lastly, we're going to talk about how laughter is good medicine. It's the best medicine. Okay, so we're going to move fast. We have a lot to go through. So the permanent weight loss strategy, I want to talk a little bit more about that because many people are confused about which diet. Folks, stop the diet madness. Diets don't work. We already talked about that. It's proven. Why do we have 65% of Americans that are overweight? If diets worked, we'd have less and less of people who are overweight. But it's getting worse. And so we've got to look at a permanent weight loss solution. As I said earlier, lifestyle is the key. And so one of the things I really wanted to talk about as far as a lifestyle is the lifestyle of the people in the blue zones. Now, I'm going to just deviate from this slide presentation here real quick, and I'm going to go into and just find you really quick a slide that I don't have a slide on it. I'm going to go ahead and get you let's see here. We're going to go to, we're going to go to the blue zones. We're going to go to the blue zones right now. There we go. Okay, so we're going to go, let's go, yeah. So the blue zones, let's go right here. The blue zones is a phenomenon. Some of you may have heard about it already, but National Geographic did an exhaustive study and they reported a couple of years of their research findings in this blue zone report that they documented in a National Geographic publication back in 2010. And they talked about in this study these 5 regions of the world who these scientists found the healthiest people on the planet. Now, mind you, the scientists that National Geographic brought onto this project were some of the most well-known physicians and researchers from prestigious medical schools and research centers from around the world. They brought epidemiologists who study patterns of people in different cultures, their health patterns, and they brought in cardiologists and immunologists, and they brought in stress management experts, and they brought in exercise experts. researchers and doctors from all these various disciplines into this research project called the Blue Zone Project. And after they completed the study, they found that there were 5 regions in the world that had the healthiest people on the planet. These people have been living a certain lifestyle for thousands of years. And they found that these people had extraordinary health. They had the most centenarians on the planet. Their culture had sometimes 10 times more people in their population that lived to 100 years or beyond in good health. Now, I'm not talking about somebody who is 100 years old in a nursing home and is taking multiple medications, has 5 or 6 different chronic diseases, and could hardly walk from the dinner table to the bathroom without being stressed out with breathing difficulties. I'm talking about people who are water skiing and running up hills and horseback riding and doing heart surgery and working on a daily basis as a shepherd, herding the sheep in their culture, walking up mountains and doing all kinds of amazing physical feats that they were doing with their bodies at over 100 plus years. These are extraordinary people with a very low incidence of chronic disease that we experience in our culture. I'm talking about people who had very low incidence of heart disease or cancer or Alzheimer's or any of the chronic diseases that we experience, cancers that we experience in our culture, in our country. These people had very, very low levels of these conditions. We're talking about less than 10%, sometimes less than 1%. Their population had less than 1% of the people who were overweight. So, what is it about these populations that these scientists found that was so unusual? What they found is that there was a common thread in all of these blue zone populations. And what they discovered was that they all had a very similar pattern in their lifestyles. And we're going to kind of take a look at that right now. And we're going to see what were the blue zone traits that these people exhibited, like a golden thread running through their culture. This is exciting because all the research that the scientists did proved that the blue zone populations are something that we should aspire to in our life. And I was excited about it personally because back in 2004, I wrote a book, and it's one of my books called Carbs from Heaven and Carbs from Hell. Let me see if I have a copy of that book around here somewhere. Oh, I do. I'll get it. Just give me a second. Okay. Yep. Right here. So this is my book, Carbs from Heaven and Carbs from Hell. And I wrote this back in 2004. Now, the reason I bring that up is because the book, when I wrote the book, let's see if I can make this a little bit bigger here for you. Now, let's do it this way, because I'm going to talk about this for a few minutes. So I really want to blow this up for you. There we go. Here we go. I think you can see that okay. There we go. So in 2004, in my book, Carbs from Heaven and Carbs from Hell, I wrote extensively about the blue zone regions in my book. That was 6 years before National Geographic had published their study. My book with the blue zone regions was 6 years before National Geographic. So I was, again, way ahead of the curve on sharing with people about the benefits of the people in the blue zones. And I'm going to show you a map, or a couple maps that I have inside of my book on the blue zones. Let's see if I have it right over here. There we go. Let's see where it's at. Oh, okay. So here's one. This is the Latin American diet, which I published, and I wrote extensively. As you can see, I have like 2 or 3 pages on each one of these cultures. But in this book, I broke down the reasons why these people have such extraordinary health in Latin America. And one of the blue zones is Costa Rica. That's in Latin America. And so I also reported on the Mediterranean area in my book. I also talked about, by the way, in the Mediterranean, one of the blue zones is Icaria and Greece, Greece. And then the other one that National Geographic talked about is in Sardinia, Italy, which is also part of the Mediterranean area, which I wrote about extensively in my book and had maps, and I made a food pyramid of the Mediterranean diet. And then the last one for the blue zones was Okinawa, Japan. That's what National Geographic found. And I talked about in China and Japan, I drew maps, food pyramids, and talked extensively about the Asian diets and Asian lifestyle. And by the way, the word diet, we have a misconception about the word diet. The word diet literally means lifestyle, but we've actually distorted it to make just the food on our plate. Diet, if you look it up, it's a lifestyle. So when we talk about the Mediterranean diet or the Latin American diet or the Asian diet, that's a lifestyle. And that's what we're talking about today, is how to incorporate a healthy lifestyle. So you see, when we bring into our life, when we incorporate the lifestyle of the people in the blue zones, then what we find is that our health will be transformed. Now, let me say this. Because of the fact that we have been raised here in this American culture, with most of us have been raised with a lot of processed food, a lot of us have been raised with minimal amounts of exercise, or if we have exercised in the past when we were in our youth, as we got older, we kind of got away from it. And so we've to look good when we were young. As we get older, we decided, oh, well, it's much easier to just go after dinner and sit on the couch and watch TV because you're tired from work, you don't have the energy. And so you end up having this lifestyle that propagates you being overweight and tired, and it's just a cycle that gets worse and worse. So we need to think in terms of a lifestyle. And that's what we're talking about right now. So I want to talk about the blue zone characteristics that were very common, like a golden thread that ran through all the regions of the blue zones. And by the way, I talked about all this in my book as well, the Carbs from Heaven and Carbs from Hell. So the first thing is, And I want to go to the top of the pyramid because sometimes we want to go to the bottom and say, let's go there. Well, I want to go to the top because the people in the blue zones move naturally. They don't have a exercise mentor that they go to the gym, where they have a coach. They literally just move throughout the day. And what the research shows at National Geographic is that the people in the blue zones, every 20 minutes on average, they're doing some kind of physical activity. Now, I want to bring this down to what you can do as we're talking about this, because you can do this even though you don't live in a blue zone. You could have a blue zone lifestyle. So every 20 minutes, you could do something physical. You could jump on a trampoline. You could go for a walk in the park. You could do something as simple as walking up and down your stairs. You could do some jumping jacks, some push-ups. You could go to the gym. Whatever you could go for a bicycle ride. You could do a lot of different things that don't take a lot of time either. What I do in my day is I will run up the stairs. And when we get into exercise, I'll talk about quick burst exercise and the benefits of that. But I run up and down stairs and get my cardiovascular rate going about every hour and a half. I'll do it sometimes every hour, depending on how busy I am. So you could do that. And by the way, the people in the blue zones live in mountainous, hilly regions. And so they're walking constantly up and down hills. Well, we have stairs in our homes. We have places we can go up and down and different places at a park or whatever, or hills that we could find. So we could do the same. We could develop a blue zone lifestyle wherever you live. But the point is, every 20 minutes on average, the people in the blue zone exercise. So what else do they have? Well, they have what they call here the right outlook on life, a positive mindset. No stinking thinking. You need to walk around with a mindset of positive affirmations floating around in your mind all day long. You have to eliminate the negative and accentuate the positive, like the song says. So that's another characteristic. And they find time to downshift or to relax. Time to relax. So they'll find time to be able to do some prayer time or meditation time, or some other stress management skills that they do, just enjoying family, enjoying friends. These are all important things, but just find the time to relax so you can be easeful and peaceful throughout the day. And when we get into stress management, I'll give you a couple really powerful tools you can do wherever you're at with very minimal amount of investment, sometimes no investment at all, and yet they're the most powerful techniques on the planet to remove the stressors in your life and make your life easeful and peaceful. So they also eat wisely. They eat only to satisfaction. They never eat to fullness. They eat to satisfaction. A lot of people, and I used to do this too, I'd eat till I felt stuffed and I go lay on the couch. Not the people in the blue zones. They eat till they're satisfied. I feel good. And by the way, one of the tips I want to give you about that is researchers have shown that it takes about 30 minutes for the message to get from your tummy to that you're satisfied, that you've had enough, that you've had enough to eat. So if you eat too fast and you don't chew your food well, what's going to happen is the message to your brain is not going to get there. So you're going to eat a plate full and your message has not got to the brain yet. So you're going to go fill up your plate again. So eat slow. There's a reason we call it dinner hour. Take your time, chew your food well, eat when you're happy. It's all important. And that is going to help to get the message to your brain. You'll be satisfied and you'll walk away and you won't overeat. These are simple tips, but they're what I call fundamentals. And Fundamentals are important in any endeavor in our life. If it's a sport, or you want to play a musical instrument, or you want to be good at anything, you have to have the fundamentals. And so today I want to talk about the fundamentals of a healthy lifestyle, the fundamentals of eating, the fundamentals of all the things that we'll be talking about today are the essentials that you need to really focus on. So the people in the blue zones, they eat primarily a plant-based diet. Researchers found that about 90 to 95% of their diet is plant-based. No surprise, all the research, and there's volumes of research to show the plant-based diet is going to get you the most benefit long-term. We'll dive deeper into that when we get to the food as information section. People in the blue zones also drink some wine every day, maybe a glass or two. There's only one blue zone region, by the way, and it's right here in California in Loma Linda, and it's a Seventh-day Adventist population, and they typically don't drink wine. They'll drink grape juice, and it's got the same benefits as the wine because grape juice has what we call a compound called anthocyanins. Now, that's a long name. Don't try to remember it. They're particular bioflavonoids in the wine that help your heart, to strengthen your immune system, give you better thinking capacity and cognition. So the wine or the grape juice is very beneficial. It's an antioxidant, a very strong antioxidant that slows the aging process. So a little bit every day, not excessive amounts, but you can enjoy it and be able to get the benefits, including when you drink the grape juice. Don't drink too much of that because don't think a little is good, but more is better. Too much sugar in that grape juice. So maybe just a 4 or 6 ounce glass. You don't need a lot. Don't need a lot. Okay, so then a sense of belonging. That's another attribute of the people of the blue zones. They feel a part of a community. And that's why being part of a church community is so important, because when you're part of that community, you've got the love and the support of all the people in that community. So by all means, really look at having that kind of a strong community, whether it's a church community or some kind of a group that you enjoy being part of. Just be with some people that you love and they love you, and get that support. People in the blue zones, they have friends that they found, on average 5 or 6 friends that they actually had from their youth all the way to their old age. Doesn't happen so much today, does it? Find yourself a group of friends that you really feel good about, that have the ability to uplift you. Don't find friends that are Debbie Downers and hang out with them all the time, because you'll mimic, and the research shows you'll mimic what those people do in that group. If they're always thinking negative, if they're always overeating or eating junk food, if you're hanging around those kinds of people, guess what? You're going to do that too. Now, I'm not saying don't abandon those friends. I'm saying just spend less time with them and find friends who have a healthy lifestyle that you hang out with and spend more time with. Spend less time with those other people and just say, look, I'm really trying to get strong and be healthy. And I really don't want to be around you and the other people who are eating junk food or who are not exercising. So I'm going to spend a lot more time with people who are doing these things. Is that okay? Ask them for permission and still find time with them. Maybe you could talk with them on the phone. Maybe you could, Skype them or whatever, or Zoom call with them. But hang out with people that have the same goals and aspirations that you do. It makes a huge difference. And the blue zone clearly demonstrate that. Again, that's the whole idea of the right tribe. And again, they have a spirituality. All of the people in the blue zones had a strong connection with God. My friends, there's no coincidence. We have been formed and created by our God, and we need to have a personal relationship with God. And that's what those people have. People in the blue zones have a personal relationship with God. And if you're smart, if you want to live a long life, they found that these attributes will put on 5, 10, or more years to their lives. Literally, when you drink the wine, you'll get so many extra years. When you have a close group of friends, you'll put on so many more years. And on average, you're putting on 5 to 10 or 15 years onto your life in good health. That's what I want for you. 2023, you could have that extra energy, the more fulfilled life by centering yourself and being surrounded by people who are like-minded. So the blue zones, once again, are something we can aspire to. Now, we can incorporate these blue zone principles into life, and we'll see some dramatic changes. I guarantee that if you start incorporating these principles, and by the way, you can do it at your own pace. Some people will want to incorporate some of these things maybe once every 3 or 4 days, or maybe once a week, or maybe once every couple weeks. Some people will want to incorporate the whole ball of wax, all of the blue zone principles right out the gate. And I applaud you, but it doesn't matter. Each person's different. And so whatever you feel comfortable with, do it. Just do it. Now, I want to talk a little bit about, again, the big why, because that is such a powerful principle. And whether you want weight loss or whether you want to get rid of a chronic disease or symptoms that you've been living with for years, having the right mindset and having a big why is going to be so important. And we're going to talk about the miracle morning here in just a minute. We're going to talk about a routine that I believe that you could incorporate into your life that can make some huge differences for you and help to score some great victories for you in your life. But before I do that, I really want to talk about this big why concept. I don't want to leave that behind, because if you don't have a big why, none of these things are going to make that much of a difference, because what will happen is you will do them for a short while. You may incorporate the miracle morning for a couple weeks, and your willpower takes you to do that. Or you may start to exercise, or you may start to eat better foods, or try to have more circle of friends that are like-minded. You might do that for a while, but if you don't have a big why, remember the self-image that you have of yourself, and whatever habit you're trying to chase, whatever goal you're trying to reach, you could be sabotaged by that poor self-image. So a big why is it's going to have a huge impact on helping you to achieve your goals. You have to find that big why. See, because it's not about the what. It's not about what you want to achieve. It's not about the how. What I mean by that, it's not about if you want to be able to have a lofty goal, like you want to be able to lose 20 pounds or 50 pounds or 100 pounds. It's not about the what. It's not about the how. How are you going to do it? Are you going to go get really fancy gym clothes, a whole new attire of gym clothes? Are you going to get some fancy exercise equipment? Are you going to go ahead and spend some money on a subscription to a online program, or buy a membership to a gym and spend a lot of money? That's the how. It's not about the how. It's not about the how, and it's not about the what. It's about the why. Why do you want to make the change of habit? Why do you want to acquire the new habit? Why do you want to get rid of the old habit? That is the most important thing, my friend. You have to find your big why. And it can't be something like, well, I want to look good in my clothes for my friend's wedding that's coming up in a month. I'm going on a vacation. I want to be able to fit into that bathing suit. Or I want to be able to get an extra bonus at work for doing some of these extra physical activities that the boss is going to pay me for getting healthier. Those are not big whys. Those are all little whys. Let me tell you a couple of big whys. And tell me if you think a big why. And I want you to write down a big why as we're doing this. I want you to write down, what is your big why for why? Why do you want to change your habit? Why do you want to lose weight? Why do you want to start exercising in 2023? Why do you want to get rid of your chronic disease? I want you to write it down. Let me give you a couple examples before you write it down, though. Consider these big whys. How about if you've got some grandchildren and you want to be able to enjoy playing sports, or maybe just going golfing with your grandchildren, or going swimming with them, or go for a bicycle ride with your grandchildren. Maybe you don't have grandchildren right now. Maybe you have children. Maybe you have some young children and you want to be able to do all those activities with them. You want to be physically active with them, but you can't because you're impaired physically. You're not able to because you don't have the ability to or the energy to be able to do it. That would be a big why. Perhaps you want to be able to go on some mission work. And to go on that mission work, you're going to have to travel, and you're going to have to go up into the mountains of maybe in South America or maybe somewhere in Europe. And you're going to have to walk up those hills. But you're not capable of doing that right now. But your church goes to that particular mission field, and you're not capable of doing it. But you want to. That's a big why. There's a lot of big whys. There's a lot of big whys. Maybe you want to be able to enjoy your retirement years. Maybe you're getting close to retirement, or maybe you're 10 years from retirement. You're saying to yourself, I don't want to be like other people at work who retired and they're crippled. I want to get to my retirement years and I want to be independently healthy. I want to be able to go travel and enjoy adventure in good health. I want to be like the people in the blue zones, able to walk and swim and ride bicycles and climb mountains and water ski and surf on a surfboard. One of my goals, my friends, is to be in my 90s on a surfboard. I want to be in my 90s. One of my mentors, Paul Braggs, some of you may have heard of him, was 95 years old when he had a surfboard accident. The surfboard on the Pacific Ocean in California, and a wave went up. The surfboard went up in the air. He fell off it, came back down, hit him in the head, and he drowned. He washed up ashore, and he was dead on the shore. What a way to go. I would love to die on a surfboard. Doesn't that sound exciting? Rather than being in a hospital, that you're desperate, that you're hooked up to all kinds of ventilators and all kinds of equipment. You maybe not even know who you are or where you're at. Don't even recognize anybody around you. It doesn't have to be that way. My friends, you could be like the people in those blue zones. You could be like Paul Brett. You could be like Jack LaLanne. Many of you know about Jack LaLanne. He was in his 94, 95 years old, still going to the gym when he's working out. One of my other mentors, Al Couch, was 94 years old when he died. And I believe he could have lived much longer, but he was a lonely man. He was lonely. He was seeking to have that ability to find somebody special in his life. His wife had died several years earlier, maybe like 15, 20 years earlier, and he was very lonely. You need community. You need fellowship. You need to have that connection with others that you love and that love you. And anyways, a big why. What is your big why? Write it down right now. Take a few minutes. I want you to just take 5 minutes right now, because if you don't do it right now, you probably won't do it later. Just take 5 minutes. We're going to take a little break, and then we're going to come back, and we're going to continue on our discussion here on how to grow younger and live longer in 2023. So write down the big why, think about it, make sure it's a big why, maybe just a couple of reasons why, write it down, and we'll be right back. I'm Dr. Krystosik, and I'll see you in 5. Okay, we are back. Welcome back, everybody. And I hope that all of you have found some big why in your life about why you want to change those habits for 2023. It's going to make a big difference, I promise you. And that big why, I would suggest that you keep it in front of you. Maybe put it on the refrigerator, put it in the mirror in the bathroom, somewhere that it's very obvious. When you do that, it'll constantly remind you It'll constantly remind you. And by the way, along with that big why, you could go ahead and add some other elements to make this experience even more robust and making it more real. If, let's say, you want to lose some weight, for example, along with that big why, you could go ahead and put a picture of what you would like to look like physically. Or maybe you have a picture of you and your children or your grandchildren playing with a game. And if you're not capable of doing that right now, just take a picture of your children or grandchildren and put it next to your picture. And they're doing some physical activity and you see a headshot and you're smiling and you're knowing that's your goal. And that's next to your big why. So there's a lot of things you can do to really help. And then it's prominently placed in a position where you can see it. It motivates you. These are little tips, my friend, fundamentals that will make all the difference in the world for you. I promise if you do some of these things, you'll start seeing the changes will start to stick. Remember, it takes 90 days. So don't get discouraged. Even if you fall, get back up and try it again. It's the effort, it's the mindset, it's the routine that you keep on doing. We're all at times going to fail. Don't be discouraged by that. Make sure you have a good support group along with you. Find that that person. I call it a wellness buddy. Whether it's your spouse, your boyfriend or girlfriend, somebody at work, somebody that you find online, find a wellness buddy, somebody that you can work together with, that you could together enjoy activities that are going to you're going to do together. So that's something very important that you could do. I encourage that you take the time to find the right person. Don't just jump in and find anybody. Find somebody who's going to affirm your goals, going to affirm you that you can be able to achieve that habit that you want to incorporate into your life or you want to get rid of. Somebody who understands that you have a poor self-image in one area of your life and that are going to constantly remind you that not to get discouraged, build you up, give you support, help you when you fall, to help to pick you back up and encourage you. You need somebody like that in your life. A wellness buddy is going to be so important. They'll celebrate victories with you. You can talk with them on a regular basis, maybe once a day. You can use them for a 911 call. What do I mean by that? Well, let's just say that you're going to the gym on a routine basis and you go for that water in that 7-Eleven store and you get pulled into the chip aisle. How about a 911 call to your wellness buddy? Or maybe a prayer partner. Call that person up and say, right now, I need your prayer. I need your help. I need your encouragement. That 911 person, have more than one, because you may call one and they may not be there. Have 2 or 3 people you can call to take time to say a prayer or give you a positive input somehow. You need that. We all need that. These are measures that will make all the difference in the world for you. Remember, it takes 90 days. And so you've got to go for the long haul. Don't go just for this short, quick fix. Get that mindset out of your life. Quick fixes don't work. We know it. Just make sure that you're in it to win it. That's important. Okay, so that is the big why, and you can incorporate some of those other things. I want to talk a little bit now about incorporating this whole concept of a miracle morning. This is so important. The miracle morning. Let's see if I can get this here. Why are we getting that? Oh, fun. Let's see. Let's see, we go right over here, and we'll try that. Okay, we're just going to do this. Okay, so what is a miracle morning? Okay, so a miracle morning is a routine that you are going to apply to your daily morning ritual. Every single morning when you get up, the first thing you want to do is gravitate toward this routine. And when you get into this routine, it's going to help to inspire you and to move you in the right direction for your goal. You can't just get up in the morning and then just decide, okay, there goes another day, grab a cup of coffee, go ahead and get some breakfast down at the local restaurant, or, you know, you don't want to just helter skelter your lifestyle. If this morning routine is brought into your life, it will make a huge difference for you. So, what are some of the elements? Well, when you get out of bed, for me, I say, this is the day the Lord has made, and I'll rejoice and be glad in it. That's the first thought that comes to my mind. Now, you may have other thoughts in your mind. You may think, well, that I have a family. Thank God that, or I'm just so thankful that I've got somebody in my life that loves me right next to me, my wife. Let's thank God that I've got children, or let's thank God that I've got something in my life that you could find that you're really appreciative of. Just get up with that kind of affirmation. And then move into a time of quiet prayer or meditation. So that would be something that you could do for 10 maybe minutes, 15 minutes, whatever time allows you. You may have to go to bed a half hour earlier to incorporate 30 minutes in the morning to do this routine. But do you really need to watch that extra TV show? Is it really doing you any good to watch that sitcom, or to watch some other program on news or something else that's out there? Can you just take 30 minutes to build a healthy daily routine that's going to change, going to transform your life? My friends, these are the fundamentals. This is another fundamental. If you do this, I promise you, just try it for a month. You'll see the difference. Begin by just reading some Bible scripture, or some poetry, or something that is positive, something that's uplifting. Read some quotes out of a book is your favorite book that you have. Read, or maybe listen to some inspiring music. Do a quiet prayer time. Do some deep breathing and some meditation on God's word, or just a thought in your mind. Think about the happy place you'd like to go to. Think about that happy place. Maybe it was a vacation spot. Maybe it was, somewhere with a friend or someone that you had a great experience with. In your mind's eye, go to that spot when you meditate on that, and just do some deep breathing and visualize you're at that place. For me, what I do when I'm meditating, I meditate either on God's word, or what I'll do is I'll see myself sitting on the floor, and I know that God is in my life, and I'm sitting on the floor, and God is got his hand on my head, and I'm visualizing this with my eyes closed. God has got his hand on my head. Now, the Bible says that God is light. So for me, I see the God of the Bible, his hand is on my head. And God is light. So God's light is permeating, is going through my entire being. And it's pushing out the darkness in me, the negativity, the ill-favored thoughts. All that stuff is being pushed out of me. And God's light is going through me from the top of my head to the bottom of my feet. I see it in my mind's eye. And as I blow out my air, I exaggerate the breath, and I visualize a black cloud of smoke coming out of me. That black cloud of smoke, visualizing that, I see that black cloud of smoke is all the negativity that's inside of me, and we all have it. None of us is void of it. I see it coming out of me, and I see the white light of God going through me, pushing out my darkness. My friend, that brings me joy. In the morning, I do that 10 or 15 minutes, and that absolutely sets my day on the right path. The path of righteousness, the path of glory, the path of winning my day, no matter what the circumstance, because I've got the strength and the power. I've just charged myself up with the love of God. And I am so grateful during these times. And I'm saying affirmations. And by the way, that's another tool that you can do. You could do affirmations. You could like, the Lord is my shepherd; I shall not want. You could say, the God of the Bible, the God of peace, rules my life. Whatever affirmation that you want, you could say, I'm so happy and so glad that I am able to go to work today, or I'm so happy and glad that I have friends in my life, and name the friends, or I'm so glad that I've got children, and name the children, and just close your eyes and be thankful for those people. Thankfulness and affirmations all work together to fill us up with a strength that's beyond measure. But friends, these are the things that you need to start your morning off with. It will give you a protective shield around your whole mind, body, and your spirit. I promise you do these things every day and you'll begin to see a major difference in your life. Then I would suggest having a superfood drink. Now, you may want to take a glass of water. That may be part of your daily routine. You can incorporate it wherever you want, or then have a superfood drink. I'd have a drink that's got some water with some powdered spirulina and chlorella and other superfoods that are in there. I have powdered strawberry and powdered pomegranate and powdered various other fruits, blueberry fruits, and I put that in the water with some powdered pineapple and just a mixture of all those very dark green foods. If you never had spirulina before and you take a look at it, it's a dark green, blue-green algae. And my friends, that is a rocket fuel. As a matter of fact, speaking of rockets, the people in the space program here in the United States use chlorella and spirulina as one of their foods that they take up in space with them to give them extra nutrition because they need that in space to be able to give them that extra power that they need. So, my friends, look into spirulina, look into chlorella. You know, it's a very dark green food that's a powdered food, but you can use it in different ways to find a way to enjoy it. Because right in the first part of using it, you're not going to really find it that pleasurable. It's very strong and green. So here's a simple measure for you that you can do. Here's a recipe you can do. Take about a cup, maybe a cup to a cup and a half of almond milk. Get vanilla almond milk for this. Go ahead and get a cup to a cup and a half of blueberries. I'd say a cup would be plenty, maybe a cup and a half. I'd start off with maybe a cup and a half of frozen blueberries. And then get about a half to a full banana that's frozen. Like a full banana I'd put in there. That'll really make it nice and flavorful. So one banana that's frozen, a cup to a cup and a half of blueberries that's frozen, and then a cup of some type of plant-based milk, no sugar. And then go ahead and add a heaping, or start off with a level tablespoon of spirulina or chlorella. And then build your way up to a tablespoon, a heaping tablespoon. And if you even try a heaping tablespoon with the blueberries and the banana, you won't even taste. You won't even taste it. So just put a nice rounded tablespoon of spirulina or chlorella, or half and half, in that blender. Blend it up. It's delicious. I promise you it's delicious. If you do that every day, in a week's time, your energy levels will soar like a rocket. I promise if you do that. So go ahead and get some spirulina and chlorella and a powder. Make sure it's organic. And you will find, if you do that on a daily basis, that'll be a big difference for you. You could have some carrot juice, carrot celery juice, carrot celery and ginger juice. You could have a smoothie that you like, maybe with different berries and bananas, and you could have other types of super drinks that you enjoy. But make it part of your daily ritual. Then go into some stretches. Now, what I do is I do my visualization and my deep breathing and my stretches all at one time. And I have some very quiet, soothing, spiritual music on. I like to listen to the Benedictine monks, or I like to listen to some music that's just instrumental of really nice, peaceful, and easeful music. And so put the music on as a background. Do your stretches. Do the deep breathing. And you'll find a peace. Do some affirmations. And I incorporate a lot of those things simultaneously, so it really saves me time, but it's just really packing it into one nice experience. So whatever is good for you, you can experiment and try it different ways. Whatever is comfortable for you, whatever your daily routine is, you make it, customize it for yourself. That's what I'm trying to say. And then take time to organize your day. There's a great book that I encourage you to get called Atomic Habits. Atomic, Atomic Habits. Get that book. There's a lot of good things in that book you could really use to organize your day. One of the things that's talked about in that book is to segment your day in little bits of time, whether it's 15 or half hour or hour long increments, and just put things that you want to get done during the day to accomplish during those times, and just move from one thing to the next. Whatever way you want to organize your day, and then just check them off. And you'll feel accomplished, you'll feel productive, you'll feel really organized and at peace while you're doing it. That's so important. And whatever you get done on the list, be happy for it. Don't say, well, I didn't get this, that, and the other done. Whatever it is you got done, be happy for it. Move the things you didn't get done to the top of the list for the next day. My friends, these are habits that you can incorporate that'll make a huge difference in your life. Then you can go do a little exercise after you've done your stretches. You can go for a walk. You can go for a bicycle ride. You can go for a swim. You can go to the gym. You could go for a run. You could do jumping jacks. Whatever you want to do for your morning routine, enjoy it. Find something you love to do. That's the most important thing. Okay, let's move on to our next part of our journey here together. Developing a healthy relationship with food. This is so important, my friends, because if you are eating foods that are not going to improve your well-being, you are going to continue getting what you've got. If you keep on doing what you've got and expect to get different results, that's insanity. You need to make a change. To build that healthy relationship with food, just like any personal relationship that you have. Think about when you were young as a teenager, or when you got older and you were courting people and you wanted to be able to find that love of your life. Or maybe you're in that position now. When you are dating someone, or when you develop a relationship with somebody, when you love that person, when you show your admiration and love for that person, and when they love you back and you're affirmed, that's the beautiful part of the experience, that symbiotic relationship that you have. But think about when you love somebody and show affection and care, and you show consideration and passion for the person, but they don't love you back. How does that make you feel? Not very good, right? No, and that's how we end up with our foods. If we eat food that doesn't love us back, doesn't make us feel good, those are destructive to our life, just like a destructive relationship we have with some person. My friends, you have to start looking at food as something you have to have a healthy relationship with. You have to find the foods that are going to love you back. Remember, the foods that you eat are going to be a life or death decision. You could either dig your grave with your fork, or you could dig your gold mine. You could find your rainbow, the gold at the end of the rainbow, if you eat the foods that love you back. Take time to find the foods that are healthy. And I really encourage you to find foods that are personalized for you. And in my practice, I don't guess what people should eat, what's best for them, because no two people are alike. I don't guess, I test. I figure out what my patients need, personalize their diet by doing a blood test. And we pinpoint which foods are best for them by identifying 184 foods, if those foods are foods that are good or bad for them. And once we get rid of the foods that are bad, that are not healthy for their body, then those foods that they do eat love them back with healthy symptoms, with health instead of the symptoms that are causing them harm and causing them misery. If you eat the foods that you are sensitive to and allergic to, those foods aren't going to love you back. They're going to cause over 100 different symptoms have been linked to these hidden food allergies. 150 diseases. So my friends, identifying the foods that are right for your body is a paramount measure that needs to be taken care of, in my estimation. Now, you can do an elimination diet, and a lot of people will give you the protocols, and I could teach you the protocols of an elimination diet where you eliminate all the very, very big allergy foods, but it's a very tedious task. You may get some benefit, and you could try getting rid of some of the big foods like dairy and wheat and gluten grains, and getting rid of sugar, and getting rid of soy foods and peanuts, and getting rid of things like the citrus fruits, because those oftentimes are problematic. But there are several other foods you can get rid of and try those things. But I tell people, why go through the trouble of doing 6 or 7 or 8 foods, but there may be 10 other foods that you didn't know that you were sensitive to, and you still didn't get the results you were looking for. So I like to cut through the chase, identify the foods that are right for you through this specific blood test. And not all labs that provide this blood test, this hidden food allergy test, are equal. So be careful of which one you choose. Be careful. That's all I got to tell you. All right, well, developing a healthy relationship with food is important because food is information, as we talked about earlier. The food that you eat talks to every cell, tissue, and organ in your body, talks to your DNA, down to that level. And there's a science now called epigenetics. And so for too long, people thought that our genetic inherited composition, whatever genes that we inherited from our family, that was, for example, a predilection towards or predisposition towards heart disease or cancer or Alzheimer's or some autoimmune disease or whatever, we thought in the past that there was such a high chance that you were going to get that condition because you had it in your genetic code, that we just accepted it. But now with the science of epigenetics, it's been proven that we don't have to let our genes rule our life. Our genes are not our destiny. They're not. Let me just divert here for a minute and talk about this epigenetic concept. The genes we inherited is like what we've got from our family members are like the hardwire on a computer. A computer doesn't have any information in it. It has to have information. The software has to be loaded into the computer. That information that's loaded into the computer is like the epigenes. The epigenes, I'm going to make another analogy for you, are like antennas that sit on top of our genetic code, our DNA. It sits on top. They're like antennas. And those antennas are receiving information from our environment, how we think, what we eat, how we move, the people we have in our lives, the thoughts that we have, everything that we're doing in our environment, the toxins we're exposed to. And those antennas that they're receiving that information, well, then either the information that we get that's received into our bodies is either going to turn on or turn off the expression of our genetic makeup. So whatever weakness that we have can be turned on by a very destructive lifestyle. At the same time, we could do things to enhance our bodies and enhance those genes and repair those damaged genes by getting foods and supplements and herbs to help to repair damaged genes. So our lifestyle and the choices we make are really the most important thing. It's not our genetics, it's the choices. So bad genes and bad germs and bad luck is just bad science. It's all about good choices. It's the bad choices that make us sick. So you can overcome those weaknesses by making better choices, my friend. Okay, let's move on to exercise. Now, a lot of times people think of exercise and they're not having any fun. Look at these two ladies right here. They are having fun in the gym because they're doing what they love. Now, does it mean you have to go to a gym to exercise? Not at all. Not at all. You have to find the exercise that you love. Because when you do that, you're going to look forward to it. You're going to have a positive mindset about it, and your body's going to receive that feeling of happiness because you know you're going to what you love to do. And that's going to translate and transform every cell in your body because you know you're going to be doing something good for yourself. And then when you exercise and you do it, there are benefits to the exercise. Strengthens our immune system. It helps to repair damaged DNA. It helps to recharge our whole body. It helps to reduce stress. Literally, the physical activity was proven by Duke University to be better than antidepressants for mild to moderate to severe depression. It was found to be better. Go do the study. Go look at the studies on the research on that. Look up on the internet. Duke University study on depression and exercise. My friends, we have such power in our capabilities within our own selves to help our bodies to heal. God's put a power for the body to heal itself. We have to help the body to do that. We have to cooperate with the body. So that's so important. So find something that you love to exercise, you love to doing, and take advantage of all the research that's showing that exercise can help to increase our lifespan and improve the quality of life as we're living it. We're going to have better moods. We're going to have more energy. Your body's going to repair quicker. Your immune system is going to be stronger. All these things are going to play a huge difference in your life. Okay, let's talk a little bit about stress management because I think this is such an overlooked area of lifestyle management that people don't learn these skills. You know, when you're in high school, they should be teaching you how to manage your stress because they're sending you out with with the knowledge of how to be able to excel in a profession, but they're not sending you out with how to deal with the stress that comes from that profession or from your life in general as you go out into the real world. That should be part of your high school and college education. We're not getting that though. So we have to do it on our own. We have to learn how to manage stress in our lives so that we can be able to withstand the stressors that are all around us every day. And so when we look at this stress meter here, this gentleman starts off with a sad face at the very far right. That's stress. It's going to bring you sadness. It's going to bring you problems that you're not able to cope with in your daily life. And so you're going to end up becoming despondent, and you're going to lose your energy. You're going to lose focus because of the stress. So how do you counteract that? You have to look for creative activity in your life. We just talked about that a minute ago, finding creative physical activity. That'll help to move the meter over towards the smiley, from going from crabby to happy. That's what we want to do. We want to move that meter from crabby to happy. And the way you do that is by forming these type of habits, healthy habits, the daily routine, healthy habit, deep breathing, healthy habit, eating a plant-based diet. You know, they have found with a plant-based diet, I had a researcher on my program, my podcast Thursday evening, Dr. Minnick. She's an expert researcher on the benefits of the colorful rainbow of various foods and the benefits of each one of those colors of the fruits, vegetables, grains, beans, nuts, and seeds, and all the foods with color. And she talked about how you could have a happy mood, a better mood. And the research is beginning to surface, showing that the foods that we eat, the more colorful that we eat, the more happy moods that we have. So this is something that we have not heard from our doctors, but you're going to find this kind of information on my podcast, which is every Thursday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I invite you to come there. I believe this coming Thursday, I'm going to have a medical doctor on who believes that laughter is the best medicine. And she is using laughter in her practice. She's using laughter to teach people about it. And I think that that is so wonderful that we have doctors now that are teaching people how to incorporate laughter into their lifestyle. So this is going to move the meter into the direction of happiness. And foods can help you do that. This is where the research is going. We have to take advantage. Food is the best medicine. So deep breathing is another technique that you should not overlook. I have a 3-part deep breathing series on YouTube that I encourage you to go and watch. It's only about, each video is about 10 to 15 minutes long. I promise if you follow the principles I teach you in those 3 videos, it will transform the stress in your life and take you from crabby to happy in a New York minute. The techniques that I share with you can be life-changing and long-lasting. You don't want some quick fix. You're looking for measures that help to keep you healthy and happy for all the days of your life. This is what I share with you on this 3-part videos. Go to YouTube, look up Dr. Krystosik, 3-part video. I believe right now it's listed as 3-part video on anxiety. 3-part video on anxiety. Watch those 3 videos, and I tell you that if you practice those things twice a day and then incorporate them into your daily routine, your daily lifestyle, in a very short while, in less than 30 days, it will just make a huge difference in your life. You will see such a transformation that your friends and family members around you will see the difference quite easily. So there's a lot of other stress management techniques. There's a lot of good books on stress management. I encourage you to just to look up some of the materials. There's articles on it. Do some homework. Don't just stop in some of the things that I told you about. Do a little bit of research. Find the things that you could connect with, that it resonates with you and your mind and your life and your spirituality. You don't want to be doing something that goes against the grain of who you are as a person. Find things that really resonate with you and help you to feel good inside about yourself and the mind and your body and your spirit. These are the kind of things that if you do on a daily basis, these stress management techniques, if you do them on a regular basis, you will start seeing a major difference in your life. Too often, people consider the things that happen on the outside world, the things that happen on the outside world are going to make a change and difference in our life. So when things are going good in the outside world, when you're on vacation, you're happy. When you're, with a loved one and you're doing things that you enjoy, you're happy. When you're making, a good income, you're happy. When you're eating delicious food, you're happy. When you're getting affirmations from people in your life that are your loved ones, you're happy. But let's just take that and just turn that upside down. And let's say you're not getting affirmations from the people that you love in your life. Let's say they're just keep on telling you the same thing you've been told for your whole life, maybe with that poor self-image. But you're never going to be able to lose weight. You're always going to be overweight, or you're never going to be successful. You're always going to be a loser, or you're not going to be able to amount to anything in your life. You're never going to be able to finish anything, or whatever it is that message goes over and on your life. But if you're not getting affirmed by somebody or the people in your life, what if you're not able to go on a vacation? What if you're just going to a job that you're stuck in right now that you're not happy with? That's not going to make you happy because it's an outside world that's affecting you on the inside. And if it's the outside world that is going to really change how you think inside, you're going to go through your whole life with ups and downs. You're going to have happy times and you're going to have sad times. That's not the way God intended for us to live. We don't have to let the outside world affect us. Whether you are being affirmed or not affirmed, whether you're on vacation or you're in a job that you don't like and you're scrubbing floors or you're washing dishes or your boss is screaming at you or you're sicker than a dog right now, or you just lost $1,000. My wife just yesterday, listen to this story. This is really interesting. She was at work and one of her coworkers was feeling bad. And so my wife went over to her before she left for the day and said, I know you're feeling bad. I would like to give you a hug. Maybe that'll make you feel a little bit better. So my wife works for a dentist and she had these very expensive glasses on that increased the size of objects. They're magnifying glasses for dentists. And she had those on her, she has them on a little string, a little string on her that goes around her neck. So she went to hug this friend, this coworker, and when she did, she heard crunch. The $1,000 glasses have to be replaced. My wife, though, looked at it and said, okay, and she didn't say anything to this woman at all about it. She knew what happened. She just forgot. She didn't want to make this woman feel bad. She already felt bad. So she just didn't say a word about it. Came home, we talked about it, and we prayed about it. And she just looks at it as, okay, there's a lesson to be learned. I know that somehow I gave her a hug. I made her feel good, and that's all that matters. I don't want her to know about the broken glasses. The $1,000, the gesture that I gave her was worth way more than $1,000. to that woman and to me. So my wife's attitude rose above the circumstance. It wasn't the outside world of losing that $1,000 for those glasses that she has to replace that made all the difference. What made the difference for her is she focused on the positive. She accentuated the positive. She eliminated the negative. My friends, don't let the outside world rule your life. You can rise above that, and you can become impermeable to whatever happens on the outside. Whether it's good or it's bad, you accept it as what is. I used to have a friend that said, whatever stress or events that happen in your life, they're only events. It's going to be a lot of them, a lot of events. So just move on. And what's the next one? There's going to be good experiences. There's going to be bad experiences. Thank the good Lord for all the good experiences. Accept the bad ones as just a lesson to be learned. Write down what you learned from it. Don't get upset. Don't get angry. Get better. Turn a lemon into lemonade. If you live your life this way, and if you start doing some education and some research on how you can get over some of these mindsets, because that's all they are, is mindsets. Once you get delivered from the kind of mindset that whatever's happened in the outside world is going to affect you on the inside, it's going to make you feel good or bad. Once you get over that and realize whatever circumstances happen on the outside cannot touch how you feel inside if you have that inner peace. Find that inner peace. Develop a relationship with a community, or develop a relationship with God. Eat healthy foods. Get exercise. Have a morning routine. And by all means, laughter. Laughter is the best medicine. The Bible says in the book of Proverbs, a cheerful heart is good medicine. That's Proverbs 17:22. A cheerful heart is good medicine. Wouldn't it be nice if a doctor started prescribing a little laughter pill for you? Inside of a pill, there was a little note with a Bible scripture or a little joke. Wouldn't that be wonderful? There are doctors who do that, by the way. There are doctors. I'm one of them. I like to get my patients to laugh. This doctor, Dr. Shelby Lane, check her out on the internet. I'm hoping that she's going to be my guest in my podcast this Thursday. By the way, my podcast, once again, you can hear it live on YouTube at The Other Side of Medicine. You can hear it live at The Other Side of Medicine Facebook group. You can go to Facebook, look up The Other Side of Medicine under groups, join my Facebook group, and you'll have that automatically a link to the podcast. And if you join my Facebook group at The Other Side of Medicine, you'll get recipes. You'll get all kinds of breakthrough information that I don't even share on my podcast. I'll give you remedies, natural remedies that I'll continuously give you. I will be able to talk with you and give you recommendations, personal recommendations for problems that you may be having physically, that I could tell you, use this remedy or that remedy. Safely, a natural remedy that's backed up by science. Because all the things that I do, whether it's with my patients, on my podcast, in my books, are all based on three main principles. Common sense, which I think we've lost in medicine today. Evidence-based, good science. Cooperation with nature. Those three things, if you use those things in your life, can't go wrong. Your body will heal, restore, and be able to live a long life in good health. So laughter is good medicine. It, again, strengthens your immune system, helps to protect your heart. It releases what's called endorphins and encalphins. These are the feel-good hormones. So when you laugh, it releases hormones that make you feel good. The University of Maryland did a study, an exhaustive study, and there's many other research centers that have shown that laughter truly is good medicine. It has powerful effect on the physiology of our body. So by all means, find ways to have more humor, more laughter into your life. Sometimes you don't even need to have a reason to laugh. You could just start laughing. As a matter of fact, let's just take a minute to laugh together right now. I'm here by myself. I'm not going to embarrass anybody. You're by yourself or maybe with a loved one. You're not going to embarrass anybody. Just try this little exercise with me. Let's just laugh for no reason at all. Just do it out loud. Don't be inhibited. Just feel free because you're with yourself. Wow, like a breath of fresh air. My, oh my, that's just like 2 hours of letting it go for me. Well, let me just go and end with this, my friend, because we're coming close to that. And we're running out of time, but I want to share a couple of remedies. Promise you I was going to give you a couple of remedies. This is flu season. Many people are walking around getting the flu. People are fearing COVID. Friends, I want to tell you about a remedy. It's called oscillococcinum. If you've never heard about this, or maybe you've heard about it, but you're not using it properly, I guarantee that if you use this remedy, if you start getting the symptoms of flu, and you know what I'm talking about, when you start getting the symptoms of a flu, you get a little queasy in the stomach. You start getting chills. You start getting maybe a little fever. You start just kind of overwhelmed. You know what I'm talking about. You feel that like you maybe even want to throw up. As soon as you get those types of feelings, the chills, you're starting getting a little queasy. You're starting to feel like, oh, maybe something's coming over me. You get like sweating or whatever. Especially if you have stomach issue. You start getting upset in the tummy. If you take this remedy, oscillococcinum, you can pick it up at a Walmart. You can pick it up at CVS. You can pick it up at any number of, you can pick it up online. Just write this remedy down. Just like an oscillator, oscillococcinum. Get that remedy. It comes in little vials. And get the vial, open it up within the first 5 or 10 minutes of those symptoms. It has to be within the first 5 to 10 minutes. If you take one of those vials and you just suck on those little tiny pellets and dissolve them, 15 minutes later, do it again. 15 minutes later again, do it again for about 4 or 5 applications, maybe 6 applications in an hour and a half. Don't eat anything. Don't eat anything. Just take that remedy. Do some deep breathing. Take that remedy. Calm down. Slow down. Take that remedy. If you do it just the way I described, you will not get sick. You will not. They will just automatically go away. I've used this remedy many times over the years. I remember one time I was on a basketball floor and we were playing full court basketball. I love basketball. And I started getting like sweaty, besides the sweat on the basketball floor. I started getting chills. I started getting a stomach issue. I went over to the bench. I got out of the game immediately, went over to the bench. I went to my gym bag and I take this oscillococcinum wherever I go. It's in my gym bag. It's in my console of my car. It's in my computer bag. It's wherever I go. I took that little vial. I sat on that bench for about a half hour. Every 15 minutes, I was taking one of those vials. Within 45 minutes, I was back on the basketball floor. Didn't get the flu. My friends, I know I would have got very sick. And I've seen this work with hundreds and hundreds of my patients, family members, friends. Use this remedy. It works, but use it the way I told you. Don't eat though. Don't eat for about 2 or 3 or 4 hours after. Then there's another remedy called prevail, the second one on my list here. Prevail is a little homeopathic remedy. By the way, oscillococcinum is a homeopathic remedy. They are so mild They're so safe. Oscillococcinum and Trameal are homeopathic. They're so safe. You could give a baby the whole bottle and it would never do anything to them at all. Never harm them at all. That's how safe they are. Give the whole box to the baby and it wouldn't hurt them. But it's so powerful that it can help you to get over an illness. Now, the Trameal is if you have acute pain. So if you sprain your ankle, or if you just had a dentist work on your tooth, or you just injured yourself somehow and got some kind of injury, you broke a bone, or you fell off a bike, or whatever, or you slipped and fell, you got injury and there's pain. If you take that Trameal, it comes with little tablets. Take one of them every 15 minutes for another hour, hour and a half. Every 15 minutes, you won't have any pain. It'll go away. I promise you, I've seen it with so many people, including myself. Trameal. You can pick it up online. You can pick it up at a health food store, and it's available. It's called Trameal. It's a homeopathic remedy. And then the super immune booster is a combination of herbal formula with echinacea and other herbs. Echinacea is a powerful immune system enhancer, and I take this immune booster wherever I go, and I get it from a company called the Herb Farm. I'm going to go ahead and show you that. Before I leave, I'm going to show you this remedy. Both of those remedies I'm going to show you because I really don't want you to miss either one of these remedies. I'm going to go to Dr. Google here. Dr. Google can help me to find Trameal. That's the one we're talking about right now. Right there it is. Trameal. Now, this is Trameal ointment. It comes in an ointment, but it comes in tablets too. You can see it here. You can see it right there. So Trameal. And it's also called, it's the same product. It's called Tea Relief. But I always stick with the original formula, which is called Trameal. And it comes in these little vials. You can see that right there. The little vials right there. See them? The little vials? Take that right there. Take one of those little vials every 15 minutes. And they come sometimes in tablets too, or little pellets. And you can actually get it online, or you can get it, and sometimes health food stores will carry it too. And then I'm going to show you the oscillococcinum, the other remedy I told you about. I want you to see this. So you see what it looks like. Oh, I misspelled it. Here it is right there. Didn't want you to miss this, so I'm going to show you. There we go. You can pick this up at a Walmart. You can pick it up at CVS. Walmart has the least expensive. You get a whole big box. I have a whole big box that I carry around with me, and I have them for friends and family. And somebody tell me they're getting sick, I give it to them. You get a nice big box. It comes in a big box. So there you go. You've got all the little remedies that I gave you, all the things you can do. My friends, I really hope that you will incorporate this healthy lifestyle so that you don't have to rely on over-the-counter and prescription drugs. I'm trying to share with you a little taste of some of the things you can do to move into 2023 with the perspective on you don't have to let disease rule your life, and you could be able to, you could grow younger, live longer in 2023. Come and join me on my podcast every Thursday night. And there was one last thing I wanted to share with you before I go, and I want to respect your time, so I'm going to go ahead and show you this last thing. And that is this right here. Yep, there we go. So this is my new course that I just developed. It's called the Gut 911 Got a Prescription. It's a 90-day online course. And this course is a way to totally transform the integrity and the environment of your gut. Most doctors now that are in functional medicine, like myself, believe that the grand central station of the body, the most important part of the body, is the gut. As a matter of fact, doctors in functional medicine say that all disease begins in the gut. And there's such a profound statement there. Hippocrates, the father of medicine, said that over 2,000 years ago. He knew the relationship, and now science is beginning to validate. And doctors like myself in functional medicine are helping to restore people's gut. When you get the gut back in good order, when you get rid of the toxic elements out of the gut, when you get rid of the bad microorganisms, whether it's bacteria or viruses or yeast or parasites, and you get rid of the toxic elements that are inside of the gut, and you restore the microbiome of the gut, and you get rid of what's called leaky gut, which is when the gut becomes too permeable, where it allows particles of food and toxic elements to get absorbed into the blood through the gut that end up in the bloodstream and start causing symptoms. When you repair that leaky gut, and when you get the gut back in working order, in optimal function, the body begins to heal itself. I've seen it with thousands of my patients, and I have this course now that teaches you a step-by-step strategy to how to heal your gut right in your home. Now, if you're interested in that, go ahead and email me at drj at theothersideofmedicine.com. drj at theothersideofmedicine.com. Once again, that's D like in doctor, RJ at THE, the other side of medicine. Just email me there and say, I'd like to learn more about how I can get your course, the 911 God Prescription course, the Gut 911 God Prescription course. This course will help you to get through the milieu of all the confusing information that's out there on how to heal the gut. This is all based on science. It's taken me 30 years to develop this course, and I'm putting all of my experience with all of my 15,000 patients into this course. You get the benefit of it. So my friends, go to the email drj at theothersideofmedicine.com for email. Send me an email and say, I'd like to know more about your course. I'll be happy to send it to you. Okay, well, I want to thank you for spending the time with me. I enjoyed the time here. Fortunately, we don't have time to take questions. I'll be doing more webinars like this in the coming months of this year. If you stay on my mailing list, I'll be happy to share with you the information about when we'll be doing this course. By all means, I invite you to listen to my podcast every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until then, my friends, I wish you a blessed and healthy and happy 2023. I pray that you can grow younger and live longer. Until next time, God bless you and ciao for now.